So, you know, Christie was talking on ABC News during the January 6th committee hearing, and here's what he had to say.
Bush, when you had supporters of Al Gore who, even after Vice President Gore conceded the election and certified it himself as the president of the Senate, refused to accept George W. Bush as legitimate. You've had Hillary Clinton say that she still doesn't accept the 2016 election results as legitimate. This is a very dangerous thing in this country, which was brought to a new level in 2020.
But I have to interrupt right there, because you also know, Governor, Al Gore stood before the nation and actually conceded and did something very different from what we witnessed.
David.
Yeah, this is much
David,
different.
I didn't say Al Gore. David, let's be clear. Let's remember what I said. Even after Al Gore conceded the election and went before the country in the Congress and certified the election as president of the Senate, there were still many of his supporters around the country who did not believe that George W. Bush was legitimate, and in fact voted against certification in the House of Representatives. What I'm saying is this is a disturbing trend and pattern that's been...
There you have it. There's been a pattern now that's been happening. It happened in 2000, it happened in 2016, it happened in 2020. It's getting worse. And the only thing that that dumbass news anchor, he had to strawman what Chris Christie was saying. He wasn't saying that what Al Gore did is exactly the same as Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not saying the election was stolen, but understand something. The Democrats, they're hypocrites, because they always say that in 2000 it was they love to talk about how the Republicans complain about how the election was stolen. They hate democracy. Well, they also concede. They also refused to accept elections. 2000, they thought that in 2000 and 2016, what they did wasn't exactly the same as what Donald Trump did, but it was similar. And, let me tell you, I don't believe, I'm not 100% sure that the election was legitimate. Everything about our country, it's a failed state. It's illegitimate. And yet, you got to challenge authority. And you think that somehow we're supposed to all believe that the election wasn't legitimate? Give me a break. I do think there's a real chance. Being a progressive, being a leftist, being a socialist is about challenging authority, and you need to challenge authority in order to be a real leftist. What Chris Christie said there was true, and if you have a problem with it, the reason no one talks about, a lot of people still don't think that the Bush's election was legitimate. A lot of black Americans don't believe that Bush's election was legitimate, about 50% of them. And so don't tell me that it's a crazy idea that the election was stolen. Yeah, they're never gonna tell you. They're never gonna talk about this on the fake leftist shows, on the Young Turks. They're never gonna talk about this on the Young Turks. They're never gonna talk about this on the Majority Report. Kyle Klinsky's never gonna talk about this. The only person that's ever gonna talk about this is Jimmy Dore, because he's the only person who speaks the truth. He's the only person who is a nutless wonder, unlike those other sheep. Yeah, Jimmy Dore for president. I don't know if I'd ever vote. I never thought I'd want a dictator in charge, but I would vote for Jimmy Dore to be dictator for life. Anyway, there you have it.